As any server will tell you, no two tables are alike. Some guests are in a hurry, others want a more leisurely pace. Some expect you to order another round when they're halfway through their drinks, while others like changing it up. But one thing's for sure, when guests are ready to order, they are ready. Same is true in quick service concepts. When guests walk through your doors, they don't want to spend half their lunch break waiting to order. When a server is delayed taking the order, or there's a backup at the cashier, the guest experience starts on the wrong foot, and many never recover. So let's rethink this process. With the new steps of service enabled by QR technology, the server or cashier doesn't have to guess who's in a rush and who's not. The guests set the pace. The whole dining process, from ordering the beers to paying the bill, is more customized, accurate, and efficient. This new approach cuts down the wait times that frustrate customers. It also gives more time for staff to connect with guests and recommend menu items that suit them. The guests who need to get in and out quickly can do so, which translates to faster table turns, higher check averages, and more revenue day after day. Let's take a look at traditional steps of service in a full-service restaurant and the process it takes to enjoy a meal. You'll notice there's a lot of waiting. First, a host greets guests, sees them to their table, and offers them menus. When the server is available, he greets the table and takes the drink orders. Then he runs to the terminal and inputs that order. Meanwhile, guests wait for their drinks. When everything is ready and the server gets around to dropping off the drinks, they can finally put in their food order. The server once again has to run back to the terminal to input that order. Again, guests are left waiting. Once the food is ready, either a server or a runner drops off the plates. Our server checks back in to see how the meal's going. At this point, the guests are ready to put in another round. Once again, the server runs back to the terminal to input the order. Once drinks are ready, they get it delivered to their guests. Meanwhile, the server is playing the same juggling act with every other party in the section. This flow may have worked in the past, but it is not cutting it in today's on-demand world. There's just too much waiting. Now consider another way. One where QR codes and handhelds make going to and working in a restaurant more enjoyable. Here's what the new steps of service looks like, step by step. Hopefully you notice that their server does a lot less running around and the guests do a lot less waiting. Here's how it goes. First, guests are seated by a floor captain and are guided to use the QR code at the table to see the menu. A floor captain oversees a section of the floor plan, similar to how a server is assigned a section at the start of a shift. Then, guests place their own drink orders with their phones whenever they're ready. After that, the captain runs the drinks over as soon as they're ready at the service station. Whenever the guests are ready, they order food straight from their phones or from a floor captain with a handheld POS system like Toast Go. Staff run the food as soon as it's ready. After that, guests can quickly order more items via their phone whenever they like. Periodically, the floor captain checks in on the party for a personal touch. Once guests have had their fill, they pay directly from their phones on their own time. They're full, they're happy, and they're ready for a couch. With the new steps of service, settling the bill is quick and efficient. Let's check back in on how things are going for guests using the old steps of service. The guests have been trying to flag down their server and ask for the checks ever since their plate has been cleared. Once they get a server's attention, the server drops the bill and walks away to check on the other table in their section, leaving guests waiting again. As it goes, the party wants to split the tab 4 ways. The server returns, collects the cards, and heads off to the terminal. And now we wait again. Guests are trapped and taking up a valuable table until the server returns with the cards and the receipt to sign. Meanwhile, the server also waits, fighting for a terminal to free up so they can play Tetris with the bill. They need to make sure that the right items are on the right tab, swipe the card, put it in a checkbook, and repeat that 3 times. And by now, it's not just the table that's waiting. every table in the server section is slowed down. Meanwhile, a six-top just walked in the door. With the new steps of service, diners settle their bill themselves. It's already on their phone, so they can pay up and tip whenever they're ready. Then they're out the door, full and happy. That example was more on the full service side, but this also applies to the quick service models. Here's what it looks like. Guests come in and get in line. Sometimes the line is out the door and guests may have to wait outside. They try to read the menu but can't quite make out the descriptions. So they get out their phone and pull it up online. By the time they make it to the cashier, they've scrapped their order 3 times and have questions they couldn't find the answers to on your website. That means the rest of your line waits longer while your guests finalize their order. After the guest pays, they grab an open seat. This is where the all too familiar waiting process starts all over again. In a quick service restaurant, using the new steps of service, guests get to enjoy the more convenient and efficient flow. When guests arrive and get in line, they have 4 different ways to place orders and pay. If your restaurant has a drive-thru, that makes 5. To help the line move even quicker, staff members can also take orders down the line with handhelds. If they don't order from staff with a handheld, then they can still easily order with the cashier or on a kiosk. No matter how they order, guests are given a number and find an open table or a spot to wait for their to-go order. This flow leaves everyone happy, including your staff, who no longer shudder at the thought of a lunchtime rush. When it comes to the impact of the new steps of service, one good thing leads to another. Kind of like a domino effect, all for the better. In the next chapter, we will walk you through the benefits of switching to the new steps of service in your restaurant.